Hey, Lowco sports fans, welcome to another edition of the Lowco Hoops Report, Friday night edition. This time of year, that means lots of region games, but actually, Wes, you were at a really good non-region game, a Donnybrook, if you will, over at the Cage at Hilton Head Christian Academy, Hampton County, escaping with a 3-point win over there. I was in the deep end where Hilton Head girls kind of exposed May River. We wondered about May River's early schedule, like 6-1, but against whom and they got beat badly tonight 57-24 by the Hilton Head team that continues to look better and better all the time. May River boys though got the 43-29 win, defensive struggle, if you will. So we'll talk about those things and more here on the Lowco Hoops Report tonight, presented by our MVP sponsors. That would be my wife, Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports, with the Anchor Home Group of Keller Williams of the Lowcountry. She would love to help you find your place in the Lowco and put down an anchor in the best place here with us in the Lowco. Calling Megan Jarrett, the official realtor of Lowco Sports. I got her contact info. Homegrown home inspections, official home inspectors of Lowco Sports. They'll make sure that home is the right one for you and a great investment. And the Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate closing attorneys of Lowco Sports, are OG sponsors since 2017, and Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, providing all kinds of great services in our community, including hospice care, palliative care, and free grief counseling, because it's not about dying, it's about living. Those are the MVP sponsors presenting the show tonight. And let's look at the scoreboard, Wes. We got scores rolling in. We don't have them all yet, but we've got a bunch. On the girls' side, I mentioned it. Hilton Head 57-24 over May River. Bluffton 50-23 over Colleton County, so they keep rolling. Still looking for Battery Creek Philip Simmons. BA beats Thomas Hayward 48-36 in overtime, which is interesting. I think they outscored them like 13-1 or something in overtime. They just controlled it. Hilton Head Christian beat Hampton County 65-38. Ridgeland Hardyville 2-0 in region after 48-32 win over Edisto. Haven't seen Bridges Prep score against Allendale or Whale Branch against Royal Live Oaks. Colleton Prep, Miss Belinda, Coach Belinda, beat Patrick Henry 42-41.
I told you.
Well, they were down like 12. They were down like 12. Patrick Henry had them down and let them off the hook. Coach Belinda got him. But there'll be a rematch over in Estel, so we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
So, yeah, those are the quick scores. On the boys' side, May River 43-29 over Hilton Head. Colleton County 50-48 in double overtime against Bluffton. I was toying with the idea of driving up there, but I got to drive to Columbia tomorrow for wrestling. And I just was too tired to make the trip. But I'm glad I didn't. I would have never made it back in time if they went double OT. Would have been up there all night, and no cell service in that gym. Still looking for a Creek score at Simmons. BA at Thomas Hayward, waiting on that one as well. Buford beat Hanahan 50-33, so that evens Buford at 2-2 in region. Hampton County 67-64 over Hilton Head Christian. You'll dig into that one a little deeper here in a minute. Haven't seen Ridgeland score at Edisto yet, or Bridges against Allendale. Had Whale Branch against Royal Live Oaks. That should have been lopsided. PHA 73-32 over Colleton Prep, and still looking for Hilton Head Prep and cross scores as well. So that's what we got so far. But Wes, tell us about the action over in the Cage, Hilton Head Christian and Hampton County.
It was live there at the Cage. Great turnout by the
Hampton County. One time was there, right?
Yeah, one time leading the way. He was animated as he always was. He was striding over to the court when a foul was called. He was disputing it in person or personally over to the refs. So, man, he could get into this game, not just football, but also basketball. But great turnout and what a game it was. And it really looked early like Hampton was going to run away. They just exerted a lot more physicality and toughness early. But Hilton Head Christian Academy caught fire from beyond the arc. They hit 6 threes in that second quarter, including 4 from Harry Skinner, haircut and all. He just got a new haircut, and he was lighting up out there on the court. 5 threes in that first half, including 4, and just drained it one after the other in that second period to eventually give Hilton Head Christian Academy a surprise halftime lead. But Hampton County, they responded well after halftime. They were able to cut into the deficit, tied up into the fourth quarter, and Unfortunately for Hilton Head Christian Academy, some of the similar factors that we've seen. It's just the inconsistency of the offense, and multiple untimely turnovers late in that ball game that gave Hampton County the opportunity to ice it and eventually win that ball game, but just wasn't able to get the shot going and couldn't keep control of the basketball. We saw some turnovers by a couple, including Caden Turner, Harry Skinner had a great game, but unfortunately that ball control down the stretch really proved to be the difference. But an excellent game from Harry, who not only showing his elite shooting, but just the poise, the finishing close, great free throw shooting, and obviously he's going to remember this in a sour taste because of those last few plays. Still, Sampson tied it at 60 with a crazy 3-pointer. And then Harry Skinner, it looked like, Hilton and Christian County was going to pull it out. They were up 4, and then Hampton County blitzed back, got an and one to make it to 65-64. Hector Rakes, someone we haven't really talked about that much.
I like Hector.
Yeah, he was really clutch down the stretch in this game. And then Hilton Christian County backcourt violation. He turned it back over. Devin Allen was able to hit one at the free throw line, make it 66-64. Christian County with one opportunity left with about 10 seconds or so, and they turn it over again, and that pretty much did it. So, a couple of tough possessions near the end of the ball game for HHCA. And it's disappointing because I really thought they had them. They were shooting it lights out in that second quarter to build themselves a lead at the halfway stage. They were up 37-31. They were up 6 points, and just wasn't able to turn over into that second half. But Caden Turner had an excellent game. He had a great block on defense midway through the contest, but just not enough contributions. I thought Hampton County, they locked in on defense, and the shots just weren't falling down the stretch for the Eagles. But they've looked better. They have had a couple of close losses to good teams. They suffered one on MLK Day, and that's an event against
Sumter.
That's right, Sumter. And then after that, another close one against the very good Hampton team. So, moral victories, I guess you could say, when they're not in region, they're not region teams.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world if you lose them, but, you're playing competitive basketball games, and certainly you didn't like what you saw from your team against Hilton Prep, and you drop that one, you come back, you find ways to work on some things. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter unless you close it out. I mean, like I said, you can take things away, but you really want to win that game just for confidence purposes and your ability and the mentality that you were trying to discover to lock down games like that. So, a step in the right direction this week for HHGA, especially with play Skinner after he was shut out in that prep game. He couldn't get a bucket, finding his stroke again. He's recovering from an injury. He had a tough scare at the Hilton Head game. So he's been working on some stuff over this period. So, good to see him back in full force. And I think it makes a difference for Hilton Head Christian County playing at home because, you can feel the energy that is emanating from that student section. And when they're playing well, it can get loud. I mean, it's a great atmosphere when that Hilton Head Christian County boys team is playing to that high level over in that gym. But give credit to what Hampton County was able to do and shut the Eagles down for really most of that fourth quarter. They weren't able to get many good looks and just struggled to get care of the basketball. And Hampton County, it was Kayvon Chisholm who really took it over in that fourth quarter, using that size and just the extra level of physicality and the athleticism that we see in the football field, translated to the basketball court at 6'3", and just imposing his will to get some hard-earned buckets. And then Devin Allen had a tremendous game. He was really that dropping force early and then got it going late as well to help seal the deal. But he had a really nice effort. He put in 15, Kayvon Chisholm with 17, but man, the scrappy play of Hector Rakes was so huge as well for this Hampton County team. So, they've got a bunch of hard-nosed athletes on that squad, and I like their chances of doing something big over there in that region and beyond. So, because the athletes and just the skill, the talent out there in the court, it's hard to see many other 2A schools matching that level. So, I'm really
Yeah.
high on what Hampton County can do, going forward. And for Real Ned Christian got me 2 solid outings, and albeit losses, but you wanted to see Caden Turner do a little bit more in that final stretch because he really got it going most of that game, but he just wasn't able to really finish. And with the lead, a 4-point lead, under 2 minutes to go, that's a shame they weren't able to finish it off because the energy was brought in that
Yeah.
gym, and they were close to pulling off what would have been a shocker over there at HHCA.
Yeah, and you mentioned like moral victories sort of, and I think that's the thing is like they've been competitive with
Yep.
good teams all year. Like we know they're a good team. They're a talented team. But they've kind of lost their mojo. Like they've kind of forgotten like how to win those games. They just kind of keep letting them get away. And so I don't think they're very far away, and I don't think they ever have been very far away from putting it all together. It's just like until it clicks, it isn't, and it's getting late. Like
Yeah.
they got to figure it out soon. That's all it is. I mean, we're not dogging on them. We're just trying to kind of
They're close to
make
being a
sense
very
of
good
it. Yeah, I mean they've got all the pieces there
team.
to be
It's all
dangerous.
about gelling. I mean,
Um,
it's a first-year coach. It's can
yeah.
be a struggle sometimes
Yeah,
when
and it's a lot
and
of
you
it's a
think
lot
about
of
what Meyer
personalities
did.
and a lot of kind of 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 guys who have ideas about what
Yep.
their game's supposed to look like. And it's just I don't know, it's not an easy thing always. The chemistry doesn't always work, and the chemistry's great when you're winning, and
Right.
then the chemistry gets funky when you're losing. So I think it can turn around just as quickly if they pull out a couple of these games.
And give
They can
credit
really
to
start
a
rolling.
couple of guys. Dylan Sampson, a tremendous game. Not only did he hit that big three in the fourth to tie the game, but he also delivered with a couple of excellent passes. I thought Alex Epstein had a really good game off the bench, scored a couple of big buckets in that second quarter. So they're getting some good minutes from some of those depth guys, and that's a tough matchup against a strong Hampton County group that's going to play you tough on defense. So Elijah White, he was certainly had times that he was struggling in the ball game, but I thought he really turned it on as the game finished up. But that's someone who Christian County hopes they'll get more of down the stretch because he's a
Yeah.
guy that has had to come in and out of the lineup this year. He's dealt with some adversity. So if you can get Elijah White going, because when he is on his game, the skill that he gives, and just how hard it makes to defend when you have Harry Skinner out there, and when you have Cade Turner who's electric as well, everything that Elijah White, the ways he could beat you to the hoop, that's a tough guy to defend, especially in the skis of level. So hopefully they can get Elijah White, back to the Elijah White that we have seen in the
Oh
past.
yeah.
He can really be the difference maker if he gets going. But you talk about the couple pieces that they have, but I agree. There's other guys starting to step up, like what we saw today with Sampson and Ethan
Hmm.
Foster, who put in some good minutes as
Yeah.
well. Dylan Clark, he was not on the floor. I'm not sure what his status is, but that's certainly hope to get him back because at the times that he was playing, he looked like he was going to be a strong athletic contributor out there. So no Dylan Clark tonight, but that's another guy who they'd love to have back in the rotation for HGA. It's been difficult to piece the puzzles. They got a lot of different pieces, but it's about fitting the pieces in the right spots for
Yeah.
this HGA team.
Yeah, certainly. And on the subject of Hampton County, I like that team a lot. You said not many 2A teams can line up like that. Well, yeah, they're only two are ranked ahead of them, and they're going to be a 3A and a 4A next year.
Yeah,
So, yeah, you're right. Not very many have that kind of talent and athleticism and depth across the board, and it's a pretty special group. And
yeah,
and because a number of them played football together and kind of already went through that brotherhood experience, I think they hit the ground running. And I mean, you can see the bond that they have too, like the viral video we had of Ian. Like there's just a lot of love and a lot of happiness going on there. And when you're having fun and you're playing for each other, because you care about each other, it can get special.
Yep.
So I think that team has potential to really be special and make a deep run. Maybe even get to state championship
Yeah,
game.
that would be a fun and amazing way to close out the Oceanside and the Gray era before they go up to see Hampton
Yeah,
County
it would
take
be
them on
great.
for a opportunity
We didn't get our chance. We
in
didn't get our
football.
chance in football season.
Yeah, they had
Couldn't
it, but
get it done.
maybe basketball's the
It's within their grasp.
yeah.
Still, everybody says if they had won the first one, they'd won the last one.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I
that's a
love those
good
fans. They
team.
travel well, those Hampton fans.
Ah, yeah, they're great, aren't they? I mean, they're passionate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love them to death. I was hoping to get over there, but the Hilton Head May River game was competitive, and then by the time it was starting to get away, it was getting to be too
Devin
late. But
Allen's quite a player. He was
Devin
impactful
Allen's
early
really,
in the
really,
yeah,
really good, and
he was
he's a basketball first
versatile.
guy, and he really spends a lot of time. I think he trains with People's Easy Money over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Devin's really, really good. And we talked with Nate Livesey recently, and he talked about point guard play and how many teams could really benefit from the play of a true point guard, and Devin is that guy for them. He can take the reins and go, hey, chill out. Let's get this thing under control. And he does a really good job of pulling on it. He's just a really, if you've talked with him, he's just a really even keeled, soft spoken kid, but lead by example guy. But I think he has a good handle
And then the
on.
response they showed, not just after, rebounding from a deficit in that halftime break, but also, after Hilton and Trishkami, scored 2 quick ones to put them up 4, and then, Hampton was able to come right back at 'em and exert the pressure on defense to, force some mistakes and, up that intensity. So, you have
Yeah.
good credit because that's not easy to do on the road when the crowd's hyped like that, but, they were able to find a way, find that extra energy to help spark that rally. And Hector Rake's a big part of that with that 3-point play there at the end. So
Yeah,
that's a
he's a
strong.
really sneaky, smooth athlete. Like he comes up with some plays sometimes that you're like, whoa, that guy, he's got some juice. Nice kid too, and I understand that he and Devin both like grew up with Ian, and so they were really like
Yeah,
vibing that night when Ian had his moment. But
that's great.
we do have a friend here to talk about the May River Hilton Head games with us after we shout out some more sponsors because we're going to have Marcus Walsh from WHHI TV joining us, and he'll be presented by our varsity sponsors, Reverence Wrestling Club, the presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. We'll have another episode Sunday night, tell you about the JV and middle school state championships this weekend, as well as everything else going on in the Lowco wrestling scene, and maybe get an update on the MMA circuit if there's anything cool going on in the area. That's presented by Reverence Wrestling Club. Great place to take your game, your skills, really, not your game, to the next level on the mat. DDS Web Design, designing, hosting, and maintaining websites for businesses and nonprofits so they can get found online and do more. Find them at ddshhi.com. And the Parker Law Group with the legal needs. They'll help you with your legal needs in Jasper, Colleton, and Hampton counties. And they're also helping us expand our coverage into those counties and continue to shine a light on more deserving teams and student athletes around the Lowco. And now we will talk some hoops from the deep end with Marcus Walsh, WHHI TV coming in. My computer just jumped on me. What's going on, man? Good to see you tonight in the flesh over in the deep end, you and the libs.
Yes.
And people will be able to hear your dulcet tones on the air on WHHI calling these games. Not super exciting games tonight. The girls game got a little out of hand with Hilton Head kind of putting it on the Sharks, but the guys game was competitive for most of the night before May River pulled away a little in the fourth. But it was not like it was not Ron Fudala's Sand Sharks, to say the least.
That's right. I actually was on the news with Betsy McDaniel earlier in the week on WHHI, and I said I think, and again, obviously my job is to stay objective, but I said, I think that I favor the May River guys and what they can do. And obviously they came through with the win. Tanner Macy and company, certainly Gage Duncan, were great. We actually gave Will Bostwick the player
I
of
was
the
going to
game.
say Bostwick was terrific
He
tonight.
was our MVP. He had 7 points in the first half and then continued to just really find a lot of big moments and do a lot of big things in the second half. As again, you take a look at some of the highlights there.
There's
Matt
Whitmore. He's
Whitmore
intense.
was really, really intense as he always is, and he was very pleased. You know, he said we didn't play great, but we fought hard and we battled, and our toughness is going to make us better in the end. And towards the end of the season, I mean, it was just really, really
Jay
great.
Wright had a great night
He
for
was
Hilton Head.
phenomenal. He
was
was
terrific
absolutely
tonight.
phenomenal. I was really impressed with he and Bowman both. Kevin was very impressed with Wright. If Hilton Head would have come back and won that game, and again they were down 29-28 at the actually I take that back. They were up 29-28 at the end of 3, so they got shut out in the fourth quarter.
Oh, geez, I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. It was 42-28, wasn't it? Or 29.
Defense showing up in that fourth quarter.
It didn't even dawn on us.
It was May River's defense, but it was also, I will say, May River did a terrific job of running motion offense and keeping the ball. They possessed the ball for the whole fourth quarter, and like there were times where Hilton Head couldn't even catch them to foul them. They were running it so quickly. Like it was pretty impressive. The way they were able to close it out. I mean, they got a double-digit lead and they just sat on it. It was over.
And we were pretty almost surprised, but definitely pretty impressed with how the defenses, especially in that first half. I mean, it was 17-15 at halftime. 9-7 at the end of the first quarter. And
somebody went for 2.
Defense just went going for it. That's right. But May River,
look at Whitmore playing defense out here. Yeah, he's on the court.
He can play defense with the best of them. So this is going to be a big May River win. Just switching over to the girls real quick though.
Yep.
I said when it came to them, I was talking to Betsy McDaniel and I said the Hilton Head girls have to be at their best. Obviously, they don't have Linda Young for the rest of the year. Deja Godson has to be at her best, and a few others certainly do too. But I had confidence that the Hilton Head girls could get it done. I was really impressed, obviously, with Deja.
Deja was terrific.
And we had Daniel on in the second quarter. We had Daniel on in the second quarter of the girls' game, beg your pardon. And then in the second quarter of the guys' game, we had Lisa Richardson on, who works at WHHI as our news manager. And she was on to talk about news and talk about other events, talk about FCA and a few other things, certainly. But Daniel was obviously just so into the game. He's got such a good eye and ear for it. Obviously, he's been a part of it for such a long time. And it was almost as if, and this probably was the case, that Deja knew that he was with me. And she just, in that second quarter, that's really where she took over. But the other players, certainly outside of Deja, that I think had a huge impact on the girls' game, as they ended up winning 57-24, was Leah Jackson.
Yeah.
Leah was absolutely phenomenal, just everywhere and making a huge bunch of plays. I was really impressed with Cross. And Hall got in and did some things. Roten was really good. Plenty of really good players stepping up, making big plays when it happened, when it needed to happen to get this huge win against an arch rival, especially with the fact, of course, that Linda Young is out. But I was really Pfister, of course, and she's a senior. It seems like she's been at Hilton Head for like 7 years now.
It does.
Yeah.
But she's phenomenal.
But I will tell you that this team is very young, and no pun intended, but this team is very young. With Leah Jackson is another year. Lawton Croce just a sophomore. She had a tremendous game. Myra Roden is just a junior, so a lot of these girls will be back for next year. So I think there's always a blessing when you see. Obviously,
Right.
you wanted to have Linda back for your senior year, but I think the growth that we're seeing for this team can bode well, not just this year, but going into next season. So, Coach Ranazuski is doing a fantastic job, and I'm sure that you noticed that from just how technical they looked at and how sound, cohesive they've been playing together. And it's been really fun to watch that development. Going from the dealing with an injury like that, where Linda was that player who's going to take most of the usage on the floor and play with the ball in her hands
Right.
for the majority of the time and just racking up those rebounds. But it's really been a great team effort. So just describe what you saw from how this Hilton Head team is really learning to play as a complete unit this year with Godson at the helm, who's doing a tremendous job leading the way.
Yeah, I mean she is the glue. Without Linda Young, she is the glue that puts that team together. And I mean she gets in and can do anything on the floor. She's definitely got a great mentor, certainly in her dad, with everything that
Yeah,
her dad's been around, for sure. I'm just really impressed, and I say it all the time, and we say it all the time, whether it's football or basketball, the kids are phenomenal. And it goes to show just what their parents and their families do to instill, the work ethic and the ability to overcome obstacles and that type of stuff. And then you look at the coaches and the ADs and everybody that's surrounding them from the environment with the schools. It makes it so worthwhile to call these games and talk about them, and it makes it so worthwhile to be a part of it because of the atmosphere and the people that we get to do it with. And certainly the WHHI and Lowco families are tremendous. I certainly make sure to plug you guys as much as I can during the broadcast too, because we couldn't do what we do without you guys. So thank you for that. And I know you guys are growing with having roving reporters, even roving reporters / play-by-play men like myself on to talk about what we see. And it means a lot. I'll say this too about all four teams. You've got May River, who is above 500. They haven't played as many games because of scheduling situations and that type of thing. And then you have Hilton Head, that both teams are well under 500 at the moment. The guys, I told Betsy McDaniel, the guys really just need to get their footing, in my estimation. The girls, obviously, with the losses of injuries that they have, especially Linda Young, the girls are not nearly, I should say, the Hilton Head teams, I don't think are quite as bad as their records indicate, especially the girls.
Yeah.
And May River, I heard this from both Matt Whitmore and Jermaine Bigham, and talking to them this week, and certainly talking to Matt as well in our post-game show. They're not quite as good as those records, according to their coaches. They're not quite as good as those records indicate.
Yeah. I don't think those are controversial statements.
Right.
I think anyone who's paying
I mean, you got to
attention would
take into
agree with
account
that.
the schedules that they played these, back in before Christmas, and I mean, they look solid. They took care of business, but I think there were some factors about their play. It's just about who they played that will this be able to continue into the region. But they've got some solid pieces, but just Hilton Head, especially that girls team, really complete efforts, and that was a really impressive performance on the road. But for May River, they got to get right back at it tomorrow. They face Lucy Beckham, so it's going to be it could be a day of reckoning, just in the sense that can they find a way to figure it out and compete, and it can motivate you coming right back the next day after. And then obviously the Mayor guys got the job done, so they have an opportunity to really build on that and take on what's always been a really well coached Beckham team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond going into what should be a tough matchup tomorrow for both those squads.
I mean, if we're being real, this was more or less like this matchup basically determines who makes the playoffs on the girls' side. Theoretically, I mean, Bluffton, James Island, Lucy Beckham, you would think are going to be top three. Lucy Beckham already beat Hilton Head by 21. And then, so it would really be, and then Colleton's looking, down. So it looks like May River, Hilton Head, and now it looks like Hilton Head would be inside track for the 4. As you start to see how it shakes out. And then guys side, it's still wide open. I mean, James Island's probably the front runner. They're definitely the front runner. They beat Beckham by 20 tonight. But then Colleton, I think, is the sleeper there
Yeah.
at 2-0. Bluffton is, Bluffton, Hilton Head, and May River are all the kind of team that they're going to be in close games almost every night. And they're going to win some, and they're going to lose some. But who can pull out a few more of those is going to be the
Right.
difference in who gets in the playoffs and who doesn't.
I'll tell you what I'm really excited for. I've said, all these games that we have, we've got 8 games. We're already halfway through our schedule with the fact we had HHCA and Hilton Head Prep last week. The games tonight, we've got Whale Branch hosting Bridges Prep on February 7th. But next week, we have got Bluffton at Hilton Head. And I tell you what, from what I saw in that girls' game tonight, and the guys' game always going to be great too. That girls' game, if Hilton Head shows up like they did tonight, that girls' game has a chance to be legit.
I don't know. Boston
Especially
beat them by
how well.
19 last week.
Well, I'll tell you what, Hilton Head girls, they played well at home. It's been tough, from the experience. I've been that gym a lot. They tend to raise their game when they're
That's
at
true.
home. That being said, Bluffton is
Yeah.
just, they're playing on another level this year. Takuya has led the charge, but I mean, the way Myra Brown has stepped up and so many other players they can turn to and just, carrying a load offensively. Hilton Head's going to have to really step it up and continue, especially defensively. They're going to have to hunker down because that's a really complete Bluffton team and to a level that we haven't seen in a number of years. So
Bluffton's beaten them by 21 and 19 in 2 meetings this season. One was neutral, one was at home. So yes, if they play as well as they did tonight, then they can make that closer.
Yeah.
But I think Bluffton's enough better than them. But it could be fun. You're right. If you let them hang around at home,
no doubt,
it could become a thing. And if you get Takoya and Amira frustrated, and there's a way. There's always a way in high school sports.
Yeah. Especially if you get in the foul trouble and they start.
I'm not gonna get too excited about it.
I'm not
now the guys game
calling it, and I wouldn't call it.
Oh, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But
always fun to watch Takoya Hayward out there.
Yeah, it's always fun. Well, and those kids all know each other. That's what's fun is watching them interact.
It's very much like the HHCA Hilton Head Prep situation that we had last week. One quick thing. I wasn't on with you guys last Friday, but last Friday the anthem was played before the guys' game, and Peg Hamilton literally had the entire gym singing the national anthem.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was incredible. It was so cool. I just think the next week's games, based off, what I saw, there's definite things that have to improve.
Here's the thing: Hilton Head keeps getting better and better and better. But
it's a game the boys have to win. I mean, you drop the first one against Bluffton, you lose this one to May River.
The boys are
going to have Hilton Head boys. I mean, this is one you got to have, and you just hope the energy on the road is going to help drive you to just get into that extra notch on your own court. So, and they certainly have proved that they can do that. They've gotten a solid win over Hampton County. Reese Stewart over there with the Magic early on the season. So it's a team that's going to make you fight, but it's just they haven't really put it all together so far in region play. They've dropped a couple. Bluffton.
They open with 3 straight on the road, which is tough.
That's hard. That is hard to do.
I'm glad you mentioned his name, Wes, because I was going to mention him a moment ago. I was really surprised that Reese Stewart struggled shooting the ball as much as he struggled shooting the ball tonight.
Well, they did.
He had some inside presence.
They did a good job.
And they did.
They did a good job of helping in the post, in the paint when he drove. They recognized that he doesn't really like to kick it out. He likes to try to finish. and they just collapsed and helped and hands up, and he had to throw some crazy stuff up, and a couple of them went in, but a lot of them just turned into bad shots because they just played disciplined defense, and he didn't kick out. But and they defend. May River defends the perimeter exceptionally well. There's a few things they do really really well. One is defend the perimeter. One is rebound. They're really long and athletic. They basically play like what looks like a 5 guard lineup most of the time.
Yeah.
Hunter's probably more of like a 4 or just 3 stretch 3, I guess. But and Hunter has come a long way too. He's still developing his touch a little bit at the offensive end, but athletically he's really nice, and he's doing a lot more on defense um, and rebounding better than I saw him last year or even earlier this year.
And I was very impressed with him.
But they really defend the perimeter well. They're long and they're quick and they move their feet well on defense and they play fast. That Whitmore's teams always play fast. Like even though they slow the game down pace wise, they do everything full speed. On offense, their motion is fast. On defense, they move fast. They switch fast. And so they're just no fun at all to play, even when they're not that talented. But this group is kind of sneaky athletic. Hilton Head was also down Danzel, I think. Number 2 is Danzel, right?
Yeah, that hurts.
That hurts because he's that kind of lanky, long, bouncy guy like May River has a bunch of. So he would have kind of offset that a little bit. But no, May River, like they're no fun to play. They're super pesky.
Yes.
They're scrappy.
They are. They match Whitmore's energy, and the more like cantankerous he gets, the tougher they play. And he was cantankerous early tonight.
Yeah, he got livid a couple of times. Even late, he got livid. One time that I happened to call in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I think a great pesky, scrappy. I think of guys like Gage Duncan and certainly Tanner Macy and Will Bostwick.
Bostwick was great.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
really good. Well, and then like Karan Green comes in and he'll just charge down the lane like a linebacker.
That? He had that big move early. Look at the big man rumble.
Yeah.
I knew that he had great stuff with football for sure, but seeing him on the basketball floor,
Andrew Johnson will make a 3. Like they've got some nice little pieces. I like Hunter. I think Hunter is close to being really good. He's just gotten better and better athletically. He's really impressive, and he's getting better with the touch on the offensive end.
Even though they got beat, I feel like I haven't given enough credit, certainly, to the May River girls and just what they were able to do. Holy smokes, or what they have been able to do, this year and in years past. And maybe they're not quite as good as they've been, but my gosh, they just continue to do some great stuff. And Elizabeth Duncan, I was really impressed with her tonight. She came out ready to go. You're going to see that with Brooke Dalton. She's always ready to go. She's like the glue for that team.
High energy player.
Very high energy. And, several of them are that way, but certainly in only scoring 24 points, the 2 players that really caught my eye and I thought did the best, could have been, co-MVPs if we're talking, best players for May River tonight on the girls' side were Dalton and Duncan. They were just phenomenal, and they made that stand up for May River, even though they ended up getting beat pretty badly. But again, credit Hilton Head and what they were able to do. And on the guys' side, Hilton Head just didn't quite have enough down the stretch. But that game was defensive in the first half, and then the offense broke out.
It's kind of how May River likes to play it.
Right.
They're a hard-nosed group. They're going to defend you well. And then they like to run when the gap opportunities in transition. So that's just as you allude to, that's a really tough team to play against. That I think is going to give fits to a couple of different region squads. I'm intrigued about tomorrow. Do you think this May River team has what it takes to come back out there on the home court and take down Lucy Beckham?
That's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, coming off really intense matchup tonight, both teams with one losing and one winning. It's tough to come back even at home in the next 24 hours and do it again. We'll see what they do.
But to play devil's advocate, Lucy Beckham just had to play James Island tonight, and they got to get on the bus in the morning and come down here and play. So I would suggest that being able to, roll out of bed,
home team
go
always
through your
gets
normal
the advantage,
routine.
especially on the
no.
second half.
Both teams are on the back-to-back. I think May River gets an edge off of that, actually. So, I do think that boys game is kind of pretty big. Colleton's already beaten May River. So like Beckham kind of needs to beat May River to stay, on par with Colleton. Like May River needs to steal one off somebody to get out of the 4 hole right now, and potentially lower because they haven't played Bluffton yet, so it's kind of a low-key big game, I think. Girls side, I think Beckham's got a pretty big edge. I mean, if we play transitive property with tonight's game, then they're like 50 points better, but that's not real. But I think they should be the better team. But again, they're coming off back-to-back against a rival last night or tonight, and then they got to get on the bus and come down here, and they're kids. So that's why we play the games. But no, Marcus, who you got next week? You told us. I already forgot.
We've got Bluffton at Hilton Head.
Hilton Head, yes. Yeah.
I just want to do a quick shout out too, as I talked about it a lot, and I talk about it a lot every week. The officials tonight, I thought, were tremendous. What a staff! Rick Puente, Mike D'Elia, and John Dodson. I remember John from basketball or from football, and I thought they called a game really well. I thought that both.
There was one of them that
played
Matt
well.
Whitmore would disagree with you about.
All right.
I don't know which one his name is, but Whitmore.
I'm essentially saying collectively, I thought it was a really clean game and whatnot. But yeah, I know.
The Libs agrees with you. The Libs agrees.
Right. Yeah. And I thought it was great. It's always great to be with Kevin and Larry and Jeremy, and got to see you. We've had some guests on. Like I said, we had Lisa Richardson and Daniel Godson on on tonight, and then last week we had Daniel Court and Jerry Faulkner.
Jerry Faulkner, great Jerry Faulkner.
Jerry Faulkner's like a walking master class.
He is a legend.
Coaching and in mentorship and leadership. I mean,
how many rings was he wearing?
Named after him now over in Charlotte.
Yeah.
How many state championship rings was he wearing when you had him on the air?
I didn't happen to notice, but he is something else. We had him on last year, and that was the whole thought of getting a little bit of a different perspective, having him on, and we had Daniel Godson on last year too. Having those two guys on, something we're going to continue to do every week. We'll have Daniel on, and I'm going to try to get him away from daddy duty next week. I'm going to try to get Hayden Gregory on with me in the second quarter of the guys game next week.
There you go.
Talk a little football, and if he's got some insight on basketball, maybe he's got a pick for the Super Bowl too. Who knows? Wes, where were you at tonight?
I was over at Hilton Head Christian Academy. It was an incredible game over there. HHCA just falling short to Hampton County, but that atmosphere was absolutely live. Hilton Head Christian Academy had a sizable lead at halftime. They were banging in 3 after 3. Harry Skinner had 4 of them in just the second quarter. 5 total 3-pointers in that first half. Unfortunately, the Eagles, the downfalls and turnovers late. They gave the ball 4 times down the stretch, including 2 when they had a 4-point lead with under 2 minutes to go. And unfortunately for them, Hampton County was able to claw back thanks to hard work of Kayvon Chisholm scoring some tough baskets inside. And Hilton Head Christian Academy, they had some chances late, just couldn't hold on to the basketball. So, tough result there for HHCA, but that's a team that's starting to find a little bit more and getting better as we move further in the season. But I am really, really excited about what Hampton County can do in Class 2A.
And JJ, I'm assuming you weren't anywhere else tonight, right?
No, I just popped over to the deep end. That was the only place I made it out to.
over.
Yeah, I saw that 44
yeah.
to 30 over Oakbrook. Your
Oakbrook.
boy Bridgky had another nice one.
He has been
Uh,
insane.
13
Yeah, I
points,
heard about
5
him earlier this week.
boards.
Wow.
Brendan Moore had 12 points, 5 boards.
I'm really impressed with that
Ben,
kid based off what I saw last week.
Lil Ben
Brendan
While
Moore.
you're
had
here, while you're Marcus, how about the way JP2's girls have been playing? I don't
My
think they played
goodness,
tonight.
I really wanted us to try to get to JP2 this year, and unfortunately, it didn't work. I'm very impressed with both those teams, and especially the girls, Mahoney and company. Man, Karen Floyd, she can coach, no doubt about
yeah,
that.
the fighting Karens.
That's right.
I like to call them that just because they just kind of take on her like personality, her like
Yeah.
her spirit, like they got that bulldog spirit in them this year.
Got
It
it.
feels like so. They're the fighting Karen Floyds. Let's see. Rowan Croft had 19 again tonight for Patrick Henry. Davion had 15. Croft had a double, 19 and 10 with 7 assists and 7 steals. Holy cow.
Wow, good game.
That's a solid game. Hugh Farah had 14 and 11. And Forrest Ferry had 13 and 7. So good night for the Ferry boys.
When
That's
was the
from
last time
Stricklander.
Bluffton played?
They played
that,
tonight. They lost.
Bluffton?
They lost 50 to 48 in double overtime at Colleton County. The boys did. The girls won 50 to 23.
Okay.
Bluffton girls 16 and 1 now. By the way.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, they only lost
the
to Military
one-
Magnet where they were not.
The
supposed
one
to.
was to Military Magnet, which is number 1 team in 1A, and they were down several starters in that game. So they're good. They're good. And that's what I meant when I said, like, yeah, I mean, like Hilton Head, even if they play like really well like they did tonight, it still might be like a 10-point game. Because I think Bluffton's just like maybe that much better. But doesn't mean they're going to be that much better on Friday night.
And I
you
said
never know.
to you guys back in December, if there was one girls team that I was looking for huge things from, not just big things, but huge things to take the next step and maybe even some deep steps into February. The tournament ends in February, right? It doesn't go into March.
Well, the championship's in March. So the championship game is like first.
I think I'm thinking of Skiza, which ends in February,
Yeah.
based off Hilton Head Prep
Yeah.
Academy playing last year. Oh, that's right. The state tournament for the high school league does end like the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th or something like that. I expect big things out of Bluffton. I'm looking forward to especially seeing the ladies next week and seeing the guys as well. It's always great when you get these tight rivalries, Bluffton, Hilton Head, Bluffton, May River, Hilton Head, May River. When you get those games, like a Hilton Head Prep HHCA that I had last week at Prep, nothing better.
Well, let's hope we have a reason to make the trip to the Florence Center a couple times coming up in February and March.
That'd be nice. That'd be
A
nice.
great
Are they
venue.
playing them? They're playing them both at Florence Center?
Finals and finals will be in that same venue this year
Oh, wow.
for 2024.
It's not a bad venue. It's not the greatest, but it's super accessible. I will say that. It's easy to get to right off the interstate. You don't have to go too far to get to Holt Brothers Barbecue, so that's not too bad. But
You're always
well, hey,
looking for
Marcus,
food connection.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, former Sand Sharks, Zach Holt and rest in peace, the late Alexa Muffley Holt. That's their place. Zach and his brothers own Holt Brothers Barbecue, and when we took our baseball team, our 8 and under all-star team, to Florence for the state tournament years ago, we ate a pregame meal at Holt Brothers, and then we won, so we had to go eat the pregame meal there again the next day, and we won. So I think we ate there one more time before we left. But so yeah, just one of them places you got to go. But you have a new show out, a new podcast, the Marcus Walsh Show, new episode. What'd you get into this week? Plug the show.
Yeah, we got into certainly talking Hilton Head Prep and HHCA. Talked the rest of what we've got going on with things in the Lowcountry with basketball, our other matchups tonight, and then the next 2, like I mentioned, with Bluffton and Hilton Head next week, and Bridges Prep taking on Whale Branch over at Whale Branch. I'm really excited to see that, and Jeremiah Faber with those guys for sure. Latoya Mack can coach too. So we talked that. Certainly started talking some NCAA basketball a little bit. I cover that and follow that certainly a little bit more than Kev. Talked a little NBA. I like the Nuggets and Bucks to make the NBA Finals. My Final Four for the NCAA tournament. I've got 3 teams that you definitely think of in Kansas, Purdue, and Duke. I think those 3
Don't
teams.
give it all away. Make them listen to get the answers.
And it's true. Certainly hope folks have listened. I'll say this. I have an up and coming team as my 4th.
All right, so teaser right there.
There's your tease. Don't give it away.
Did a whole bunch of other stuff with the NFL playoffs and
it should be
great show last week.
Awesome.
Yeah, we plan
big
on
right. next weekend. So I'm as a neutral fan excited for it, but I'm sure as a Chiefs fan, I'm sure why there can be some nerves for that. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, whatever. We already got 2 in the last.
When you already won
years,
2 Super Bowls, it definitely eases the tension. I'd say there's more pressure on Buffalo. Buffalo's got more pressure than they're playing at home.
Way more pressure. And as a fan, like I'm playing with house money at this point. I got my Cubs World Series title. I got 2 Chiefs Super Bowl titles. Like, I mean, it's just house money at this point. So I want them to win. Don't get it wrong, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Let me ask you guys this, because I actually asked Lisa this, and she wasn't real sure about who she was taking out of the NFC. Who do you like out of the NFC? I know who I'm rooting for.
I'm rooting for the Lions 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. Without question. And I think I maybe like them. Like, I worry that Campbell's going to do something dumb.
I like Detroit this week. I think the sleeper,
San Francisco,
whoever gets out of that Green Bay San Francisco matchup, I think is going to have a shot, especially by the way that Jordan Love and that Packers team is playing. They're really they're firing at the right time.
It's like, oh man, I don't know. The NFC games are going to be fun though.
Yeah,
because that Niners Packers game is going to be great, and then I think if the Lions win, no matter who they play next week, is going to be phenomenal. Because Campbell's going to do some crazy stuff if he gets a chance to get him into the Super Bowl. I love that dude. I just love him. He is big time energy. I love him. But well, hey, Marcus, thanks for hopping on, man. And everybody check out the Marcus Walsh Show on Spotify, but coming soon to the Lowco Media Network.
Sounds great.
A little tease. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care. Marcus Walsh, WHHI TV. Always fun talking with him. We have some comments to deal with. Nate Livesey says that semifinals and finals should always be in Columbia. I agree. I would much rather have like a semifinals and finals on Thursday and Saturday.
Like a Final Four type of thing.
Yeah, that would be cool, right? I've always thought that would be cool. I also don't understand why we have like all the lower state games at like one site, but then they clear the gym after every game. Like, isn't the whole point of having them all at one site so that like people can come and go to all the games? Like,
really? So it's the attendance is just for that one game. They clear them out and then they bring. Well,
yeah, I've always thought that was silly, and they spread them out way too much too. It's like, well, let's keep them going so people can come and watch the basketball all day. But but you know, whatever. There's a thousand things to do, and Nate does agree. Hope Rose is legit. It is very legit. There were talks about one in Bluffton at one time, but I don't know if that's still. That was a long time ago.
Well,
and then
I'll say when USC gets the new gym, that's a venue where we could see more stuff.
There you go. Money. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. And then we also had the question from Kevin Libby: is Takoya Hayward a D1 scholarship player? I don't think so, because of her priorities. Like, do I think she could play on scholarship at a Division I program? Yes. Well, yeah, true. And do I think there's a D1 program where she could play on scholarship? Probably. probably, but I don't know if that's where she would want to be or if it would be the situation she would want to be in. But I do think that she's going to play Division II basketball. And I mean, my own personal hunch is that she's going to stay home. She's got an offer from
That's what we're
USCB.
hoping for. I'm not trying to influence the decision, but
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
I'm not either, and my hunch is based on just the way I saw her interact with the kids at the game,
and to
you
have Coach
know,
Bushler there as well. I think that's a helpful part of her.
and I know that she's that kid. Like, this is home, and her family are here, people are
Yeah.
here, support's here. She's
I mean,
a Bluffton kid, and so
I think that draws.
if
I think that draws, especially from here in this area, to have that hometown player
and the
who
night
maybe.
she was there, it was pretty obvious that they could use
Yep.
her. You know, like she could have helped that night.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that was apparent, and so I think that was part of the reason why she was, you know, well attended to after the game. People were hanging out with her and talking to her, and so I don't know. I mean, I think that's basically the worst case scenario for her at this point, and I think it's pretty close to a best case scenario for her, particularly as a kid. I think it'd be a really, really good fit. I think it'd be great for the program. But certainly, you know, that's her decision, and maybe I'm reading it wrong. You know, I'm just going off the top of my head off of what I've seen, but yeah, she's got Division I caliber talent on the low level with the potential to, if she had ever gone all in on basketball, like all the way in, probably she could have been a little bit more mid-major type D1 talent. But you know, she played soccer growing up. She ran track, still does. Was, you know, like a state placer type person in track. And you know, she just hasn't ever really been a full-time hooper. So yeah, I think she's a borderline Division I talent, but I think because of her priorities, she probably will not end up on that level. To answer that question in a very long way.
She's still doing his work for this area and for that Bluffton team. I mean, yeah, you see her banner up out there on the court, and you know, just representing all that she's done, and now her fifth year as that mainstay starter for Bluffton. So, you know, in terms of accomplishments and someone who's been there for so long and you know, achieved so many accolades, you haven't seen that very much at this for a girls basketball player in this area. So, I mean, for her to be able to continue her career potentially in the Lowcountry, that would be pretty awesome. But
well, and here's the other thing: like, she does love track. That's why she's never committed full time to basketball, because she loved track, and there were times where she thought that was going to be her main thing. And guess where they let you run track if you're on another varsity team? USCB's got a whole bunch of soccer kids on the track team. You know, I mean, they'll let her do both. Not everybody will let you do that, but they will. And so, you know, I think that's probably another thing that she considers. But anyway, so I didn't see any more scores come in since we last went through, but I'll keep looking before we call it a night, because I'd like to see that Battery Creek boys score. I need one. They need one. Yeah, we haven't seen that one yet. And I'd like to see that Ridgeland Hardyville boys score, because they're off to a good start.
Yeah.
I think they can beat Edisto, but I don't see that one yet. So I guess we got what we got for tonight, it looks like. So let's shout out the let's shout out the Lowco Booster Club, and then we'll name some performers of the night, players of the night. Lowco Booster Club sponsors. We've got Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. My friend Chris Odom is the man when it comes to cleaning floors, no matter what surfaces you've got, as long as they're not dirt floors. He can get them so clean your feet will thank you. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. The Court Lifestyle Pros. Daniel Court got a shout out earlier. Daniel and Debbie Court, Lowcountry natives selling the Lowco lifestyle on Hilton Head Island. So let them bring you home. Prime IV hydration and wellness, now open in Belfair Town Village, where you can go get your IV drip filled with all the vitamins and minerals you need to feel better, relaxed, and refreshed. Rooted Living Wellness, home of my favorite chiropractor, Dr. Ambrose Cole, fellow Mizzou grad, and he's great, man. He spends a little extra time on the areas that need it, and he'll give you homework to make sure you don't have to come see him for a while. Although I always find my way back there. I do stupid stuff. Eagle Creations, great place for your promotional items, custom apparel. They can put together a team store for you, all kinds of great stuff that they can do. Bill and Mandy over on Argent Boulevard to hook it up. Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland. Whether you need a haircut or not, go see Jay and his great collection of barbers and hang out, listen to the conversation. Might even see one time over there. And our newest sponsor, Revive Rehab, pelvic floor rehab, physical therapy, mostly for the moms, but I was informed today that, the dudes sometimes they lose some function down there too, and you need pelvic floor physical therapy. So that's a very specialized thing that they do over at Revive Rehab, but they're great. Dr. Jen and Dr. Ali are both hilarious, and they really have a way of putting people at ease about difficult subjects. So they can help you get to feeling better if you're dealing with some issues. So those are our Lowco Booster Club members. Wes, who is your performer or your performers, if you want to honor some
Yeah, I'm going to go to my alma
tonight?
mater, Helen High, and Deja Godson was sensational. I wasn't there, but man, she has been quite a difference maker with her passing, her IQ on the floor, and leading the scoring as well. It started to really run through her, and her decision making has been excellent for this Hilton Head team. And then you got to give a shout out as well to on the guys' side for Hilton Head County, solid outing, but it was Kayvon Chisholm who provided the dagger, if you will, for Hampton County. Shout out as well to Hector Rakes. He only put up 8. He was really noticeable, especially when he did down the stretch, and really, player that will do a lot of different things for you. But in the clutch tonight, he was sensational. The way he was able to take over and power this Hampton County team to a win. But Kayvon Chisholm, just a pure built athlete, and he was excellent again tonight to let Hampton County pull off a massive road win. Obviously, it's a non-region game, but that's a quality win to have in the bank, I guess you could say, to really keep that momentum going. So Kayvon Chisholm, and then, man, Deja Godson, I love watching her play, and just going back a few years, stepping into the role that she's now a part of. She's really starting to find what she does best out there, and become that leader and spark on so many different areas of the court. And the way she's just so confident now to drive, make buckets, at the rack, and just do a lot of different other things well, and finding open players. She's been such an important piece in so many different aspects of what the Seahawks are doing, and Russell Randzuski has them playing some great basketball right now. So I'm excited to see how that team does as region play progresses, because they're gonna make it tough for anybody. And I know Bluffton is looking like the best squad over there, being at the Nest. Never know what can happen if that team continues to keep playing the way that they're showing out there.
Yeah. Sorry. Kevin Levy says, great point, Wes. And he says, she's more than a creator. She's a scorer.
Yeah.
Facts. Yeah. And when she is the best point guard on the floor, like, it shows. She exposes people. That's why they have a tough time with Bluffton, though, is because Koya is one of the very few who can match her. I mean, it's kind of Devin, Takoya, and then Deja.
And that's the other thing about Takoya is, we've talked about her just the ability she's able to up her offense, but she's always been one of the best defenders.
Oh yeah,
in the area. The way
she's tenacious, tenacious D, tenacious D. Ah, man, listen to that record a lot back in the day. My performers of the week, I was looking for some more stats so I can pick some different people. But I got to give Will Bostwick some love because I don't know his full stats as far as rebounds and stuff, but he pulled down a ton of boards and he ended up with 18 points in a game where, it was 43-29. So 18's a lot of points in that game. And he was just finishing, just getting to the line, making free throws, just getting open on the block and scoring. My sauce will mix with yours, and make a good gold house, yeah. I love me some Tenacious D. But then I will also. This is the best show since the one where we play the clip from Spaceballs. And then it's always when the libs gets in the comments that it gets fun. And then, who else do you love too? Whoever hit the game winner in double overtime for Carleton County.
I'm gonna go back to the girls team because you didn't go with her. Leah Jackson was outstanding defensively.
Yeah,
she's been a stopper for the Hilton team this year, and she's able to deliver on the other side, playing offense as well from time to time. And obviously, the scoring isn't as plentiful as some others, but the intensity that she shows out on the court, and especially the strong defensive play, the rebounding, she is so crucial to how well the Hilton High team is playing. So great to see, Marcus Walsh shot her out because she's been everything that they've hoped for her to be this year, especially after losing someone as impactful as Linda Young. So another excellent performance from Leah Jackson.
This is not entirely false comment from Ridgeland, the best 2A team. Jaden Exley from Ridgeland might be the best girl hooper in the Lowco. I don't think she's the best in the Lowco, but she's really good and she's got a really high ceiling because she's young, sophomore, right? So she's really good. I'm not disrespected when I say I don't think she's the best in the Lowco. I just don't think she's there yet, but there's going to be a bunch of people graduating in the next 2 years, and she's still going to be here. And she's really good. She's super quick and seems to be getting better and better, which you would expect at that age. But no, she's very good. I agree with that. And I saw that he posted that Ridgeland boys got the dub tonight, 49-45 over Edisto. Which, yeah, I mean, it's a little close considering that Hampton beat Edisto by 100 the other night, like 60. They beat them by like 60. So but a dub is a dub, especially if you're on the road. And I think they were on the road, right?
Yep.
Yeah, on the road in region.
Never easy to come by.
He gets some home cooking in some of those places too. And like, if you can get out with a win and nobody goes to jail, it's a good night. Nobody calls the police. It's a good night. Because sometimes, it gets rowdy in those places. Like Bethune-Bowman, I've heard of some stories. You don't get out of there without the police getting called sometimes. Like it gets wild. Well, I mean, it happens, man. People get fired up about the officiating, and you've seen it. They get excited. Yeah, there you go. Every high school official has a story of being walked out by the cops. 100%. I've been to many where I was like, you guys are going to take that guy to the car, right? Like, everybody understands that someone's taking that guy to his car, right? If May River didn't win tonight, we might have had to put an APB out on Whitmore because he stared that one guy down good one time. Yeah, it was great. I was trying not to laugh. I feel like I'm in an SNL sketch trying not to break when he starts doing that. But all right. Well, great show tonight, Wes. Really enjoyed it. Thanks so much to Marcus Walsh for coming by, hanging out, and rapping with us, talking hoops. Thanks to everybody who showed up to listen or watch. And of course, thanks to all of our sponsors. If you'd like to join them and become a part of Team Lowco, hit us up at lowcosports@gmail.com, and we will get that going. $50 or more, just starting at just $50 a month. We can get you going in here, get you in the Lowco Booster Club, and we can work up from there, and maybe even make you one of those official sponsors we talk about at the top of the show, so you can help us continue to shine a light on student athletes and teams doing big things here in the Lowco. That's going to do it for this episode of the Lowco Hoops Report. We'll take tomorrow night off, and we'll be back Sunday night with Sandshark Rewind, followed by the Lowco Grind. Sandshark Rewind 8 p.m., Lowco Grind 10 p.m., talking wrestling in the Lowco. So we'll see you then. For Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until next time, go Lowco.